Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of a replay between Slush and Fenix here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Phoenix currently having a very large number of siege tanks and marines, now pushing out 44 marines, only one medevac though, and a lot of siege tanks. So siege tanks, marine, medevac now moving out. Kind of surprised that Phoenix is not trying to go for a reactor and double produce any more medevacs. He does have a reactor, so he will be able to produce and counter the Vikings, or counter with Vikings the broodlords that are now moving out. I do not believe we have the level 1 weapons upgrade on the Spire, on the Greater Spire. There it is, no level 1 weapons upgrade. Now gonna continue this as this game continues. Zerg now trying to run in. We did get a fungal growth across a lot of those marines. Perhaps another fungal growth picking apart even more of these units once again. Zerg now splashing themselves in, and a lot of those marines have been taken down. And as those broodlords now move out across the map, we need to get some hydralisks, otherwise things are not looking good. Broodlings now simply just swarming out. Those broodlings do have the level 1 weapon upgrades, so as these broodlings now make their way towards these siege tanks, things are not looking good. You can see those siege tanks now trying to run away, however, taking a lot of splash damage. Siege tanks dealing damage to themselves as more broodlings just come into position here. Broodlords, the natural counter towards siege tanks. As those siege tanks continue to deal more and more damage across themselves, we should probably be seeing some Vikings now being trained. One Viking, however, one Viking will not be able to deal all too much damage against these 6 broodlords that are simply rolling over this army now. Now, as this continues to launch, are we going to get more and more of those broodlords trying to come in? Zerglings now coming in as well. Those broodlords need to turn around and start launching those broodlings at those units. We are going to get more Vikings, however, we are now getting some corruptors as well. Those corruptors need to be trained, otherwise those Vikings are just going to be able to shoot down all of these broodlords. However, we are currently down to 5 broodlords in play. Infestor is also coming in. Are we going to get a fungal growth across any of those units? More damage being dealt. Phoenix just simply being rolled over by broodlords. And wow, so much damage being dealt so far. That one Viking now continuing to shoot, able to deal a lot of damage so far. Slush trying to get back into this game with this mass broodlord army, and the army and damage has been dealt. Phoenix down to an 1800 mineral army. However, the army size is not looking good. Once again, we do see a lot of banelings and two more broodlords now being trained. However, without any corruptors to counter those Vikings, that Viking has 3 kills, and that's all from broodlords. So that is a hero Viking right now in this game, dealing so much damage to those broodlords. We now see another swarm of Zerglings now making their way out across the map. And will these Zerglings be able to deal enough damage? They are upgraded 2-1 against Marines that are currently upgraded 1-1. Now making their way into this base over here. A single file running into a planetary fortress. That planetary fortress has a lot of armor. Broodlings now trying to take down missile turrets here. And now that one Viking will be able to rack up so much damage. And you can see that these broodlords only have 225 hit points. Queens need to join in on this fight to get a transfusion off and know that one broodlord, however, no, splitting the damage. And now a second broodlord very low on hit points. Any queens coming in to try to save the day? I do not see any queens. Queens would be able to perhaps save those units there. Not quite sure what's happening. Phoenix now sitting off with over here. However, enough banelings simply rolled over into this location, taking down this planetary fortress. And now with one planetary fortress down, a lot of damage has been dealt, economically speaking, towards Phoenix. Phoenix only able to mine off of 2 bases. Another medevac in the air, 4 Marines. Perhaps they will be able to once again redrop. Marines now coming into position here. And a fully energied Queen did not get any transfusions off. And Root Slush now losing this game, I think, and simply just letting those broodlords fall to the wayside. Zerglings now on the ground, simply swarming against this mass marine army. And now we have a lot of Thors. Cannot fight next to that planetary fortress. That splash damage simply too much. However, with so many Marines, these Marines are simply going to be able to simply surround all of these Thors and deal a lot of damage very quickly. A Thor getting countered very easily. Vikings now in the air, unable to deal any damage, as these siege tanks are now going to get splashed around as well. Simply just falling down to these siege tanks. Marauders now taking some damage as well, trying to come back into the cover of that planetary fortress. Planetary fortress, however, attacks relatively slowly as these Zerglings able to run through this map, and nicely done. So and now Slush just countering the game, coming back with mass Zerglings. So, wow, give it to Slush. I thought Slush had lost this game as Slush was trying to macro up a stronger and stronger Zergling army. He lost a lot of broodlords. However, he was able to come back into this game and deal a lot of damage. I believe the Phoenixes, we're going to be landing here in just a moment in order to deal some economic damage towards these drones over here. You can see Slush sitting on almost 2,000 almost sitting on what, 2,000 minerals, 1,600 minerals, 1,800 gas, which is a lot of gas to be sitting on. He was not keeping up on top of his spawn larva. You can see all of his macro was slowed down significantly, and none of these hatcheries had the spawn larva ability on them, so that's the reason why his macro had slowed down so much. However, being able to just train up that many Zerglings, and once Zerglings reach that critical number, and once they're able to swarm and simply surround their opponent's armies, there's not much you can do. So really well played by Slush. I thought Fenix would be able to mount a comeback. However, losing this planetary fortress to mass banelings was simply the end of the line there. And as soon as this planetary fortress was done, Fenix, I believe his economy was just getting weaker and weaker, and Fenix knew that he just simply did not have enough of a standing army to deal with the number of Zerglings that were running through his base. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Slush and Fenix here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Excuse me, here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.